Hello and welcome. My name is Fatima Khan, and I am a third-year medical sciences major here at the University of Cincinnati. And today I'm going to be talking a little bit about my research with the Intercultural Development Inventory, or the IDI. And so the title for today's presentation is Early Intervention, Administering the Intercultural Development Inventory to Pre-Med Students as a Tool for Cultural Humility and Racial Justice. So let's go ahead and get started. So when we talk about the need for early intervention, we must begin by defining social determinants of health. And social determinants of health are defined as the conditions and the environments in which people are born, live, learn, work, play, worship, and age, and that affect a wide range of health, functioning, and quality of life outcomes and risks. And so when compiling different research studies, it actually shows that 80% of healthcare outcomes involve the influences of these social determinants of health. However, patients will often report that these determinants are not acknowledged, leading them to feel a lack of respect from healthcare providers. And when looking at medical education, it is emphasized that there is a need for cross-cultural training programs for students to engage in to meet the needs of these increasingly diverse patient populations. However, the question still remains about how to best accomplish this within the medical education curriculum. And so this is where the Intercultural Development Inventory, or IDI, comes into play. The IDI is a psychometric analysis that assesses intercultural competence, which is the capability to shift perspective and appropriately adapt one's behavior to cultural differences and commonalities. Implementation of a cross-cultural tool such as the IDI during medical education early on within their journey can actually help to establish a baseline for developmental growth and be an effective way to promote critical reflection within students regarding diverse patient care. And I personally have taken the IDI twice now, and I find it to be a very helpful developmental tool for students. So when looking at the IDI, we must evaluate the continuum. And the continuum is the developmental scale or continuum along which participants may identify. And so we see that along the continuum, we start at the left with monocultural mindsets, going all the way to the right with intercultural mindsets. And so we see here that along the continuum, we find that participants slowly begin to grow and develop from not being able to identify difference and missing them to judging them, all the way to being able to deeply comprehend them and bridging those cross-cultural differences and being able to adapt when put into diverse populations or diverse situations. So when looking at the results from the study, we administered the study to about 44 participants within the medical sciences program, and they were asked to take the IDI assessment. And afterwards, we pulled the results together, and here I have kind of the group results. And so we see here on the left, under perceived orientation, that as a group, the students believed that they identified an acceptance, which meant they were appropriately able to adapt to cultural differences and recognize and appreciate patterns of cultural differences in one's own culture and in other cultures. However, though they may have perceived that, their actual developmental orientation, which was given to them by the IDI continuum, was actually on the cusp of minimization, meaning that they were not able to recognize and appreciate patterns of difference, but actually they de-emphasized difference. And we see here on the right, within the orientation gap, that is the difference between what the participants had perceived themselves to be and what the IDI had given them as a score. We see that the score difference is about 30.96 points, and points a orientation gap of above 7 points actually indicates an overestimation of one's intercultural competence. And when looking at the group results as a whole, down here you see that the range of developmental orientation shows that we have the majority of our students falling within denial, polarization, and minimization, and not many falling under acceptance or adaptation, which we classify as our intercultural mindsets. However, it is good to see that our students are mainly in minimization, because minimization is a transformational stage where individuals are going from a monocultural mindset, so only being able to really see the world from one's own perspective and culture, to an intercultural mindset, being able to see it from the lenses of other cultures as well. And so this is a transformational stage, and it is a very important one to be in, and a very strong one as well. One question that I wanted to bring up that I thought was extremely important was, do you think you have a monocultural mindset or an intercultural mindset? This was a question that was asked to our students, and we see that about 78% said that they thought they had an intercultural mindset, but when we back at the results, it's almost the opposite. So, what are the future steps for our research study? We are going to continue the study in the fall of 2021 to collect more data. Our hope is to get about 125 participants. And then next, we will compile the results and we will conduct an analysis of the data. And then we plan on publishing a chapter explaining the analysis and its relevance. We have already published one chapter before, and we hope to publish another one with the additional data that we collect. And lastly, the intercultural development inventory is actually being used as a tool for racial justice. And so this tool really talks about how race is likely experienced along the intercultural development continuum. It is a very rigorous and detailed analysis of how people in denial, polarization, minimization, acceptance, and adaptation all react to race, and really works to tailor towards one's own orientation and work to understand race within our country and racial justice. It's really taking social justice and putting action into it. And that is all. Thank you so much for coming to this presentation. I hope you enjoy. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask and let me know. Thank you.